Greetings, 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 greetings. I'm your king, Clifford Jefferson, descendant of Godfrey the Fifth Count of Anjou, son of folk ruler of Jerusalem. I'm the reincarnation of King Edgar the Peaceful, the greatest king of all kings, the greatest king called the King of Peace, which y'all refer to as Jesus Christ. I'm here to redeem my people who are under the influence of those who do not know the truth, but seek the truth. I have by my side, as always, Archbishop Belmont from the House of Belmont, as well as alone attending as showing their fealty in lieu of their birthright, Brother Scott from the House of Scott, and Sister Walker from the House of Walker. And they're happy to be here in regards to understanding who they are as English heirs and successors. I'll let our bishop say a couple of words, as well as Sister Walker and Brother Scott make an introductory descent, and then we get on with this marvelous lesson. Archbishop.
Greetings, brothers and sisters from the Kingdom of England, Empire of Albion. It's I, Archbishop Belmont, from the illustrious House of Belmont. Today is February 27, 2972 Berber calendar, 2022 Gregorian calendar. And once again, the King has created a perfect and beautiful lesson for us as English heirs to be able to pull ourselves all the way whole, to be able to present ourselves to the world as a whole, as a family, who we are today in this day and age. And like the King said, it's always important and imperative that you take this information that we bring to you serious, because it's better for you to not know this than to know this and not do anything with it. So that being said, I will go ahead and leave the rest of the introduction to Brother Scott from the House of Scott, as well as Sister Walker from the House of Walker.
Sister Walker, you can go first. Can't hear you, Sister Walker.
Greetings, greetings, greetings. I am very honored to be here today. This is my first time, and I got my pen and paper because I'm ready to take some copious notes as usual. And this information, like you said, it's a big responsibility to know this. And me being a mother and the matriarch of my family, I am going to put this information to some good use. So thank you for having me today.
You're welcome. Welcome, Countess Sister Walker from the House
Absolutely,
of Walker.
Sister Walker.
Yes. Last but least, Brother Scott from the House of Scott. Welcome.
Greetings to everyone. I am Corey Scott. I do know now, thanks to the King and Archbishop, that I am of royal bloodline. I'm here not only for remedy, but for education and understanding about our people. It is an honor. Never thought I would even be a part of something like this. As like Sister Walker, I do have my pen and paper for the notes as well. Looking forward to a good lesson and looking forward to the future. I really appreciate you all. Thank you for having me.
Anytime.
Welcome, Brother Scott. Welcome home.
1 second, y'all. We home, so I can answer the phone call. Mama. Hey, Mama. Hey, Mama girl. Hey, boo-boo. Grandma be here in a second. Hold on, okay? Papa having class. I'm in church. That's where you should be. Why you ain't in church? You better get here. Okay. All right. Sorry about that. All right. Yeah. Once again, we're glad that you brothers and sisters are here to get an understanding of what it means to be family. You know, family is just not a building of four walls. Without the people in there, it wouldn't be a family. It wouldn't be a church. It wouldn't be a relationship. It wouldn't be a society. All these things are made up, you know, and our ancestors have done this from time immemorial. You know, this is where your birthright comes in. You know, we know that citizenship determines your political status, your allegiance, and your subjectivity. And, you know, and we know we all subject to somebody. No one lives to themselves, but bound by cord to every other thing. Mm-hmm. So once again, great introductions, Sister Walker and Brother Scott, as well as Archbishop from the House of Belmont. I give high honors to him. You know, he has a great responsibility in regards to making sure that the King's consciousness is being aware of, and he's done that faithfully with his fealty. I expect the same as all, because like I said, I'm only here as regards to the obligation that was put upon me, and I am what my forefathers were without doubt or contradiction. As you can see on the screen, for all those who can view, you see King Edgar, the peaceful, or as you know, King Edgar Jefferson, because Jefferson is pronounced Godfrey or Godfrey, which means peaceful territory. This is the only king out of all the kings of England who never had an actual war, and this is concrete. This story goes back to what we call time immemorial. From the Gregorian calendar will be the time ever about 1 BC to 1 AD. And our year in the Berber calendar will be the year 950, 951. For all those who are unsure about that, you should check your calendar. And you can see that we spoke about that in prior lessons, but for the sake of time, we're not going to refresh your mind with that. So without further ado, we get into a beautiful lessons, and this lesson will not be applicable if you have not watched the last, how many visits we did in regards to this last viewing?
We just did 5 videos.
5 videos. Yes. This viewing will not make sense if you don't go back and watch those 5 viewings. Those videos were based off citizenship. And if you look at citizenship from an inherited perspective, you know that that's called a natural or national citizen. Then you have those who will call naturalized citizens, and then you have what they call foreigners. Very important. I'll say it again. You got nationals, which were subject to just soil, born on the soil. Then you got naturalized citizens, which are those who were allowed to come and inhabit it and attain citizenship. This Sister Erica on the line?
Yep.
Sister Allen, oh, well, good to see you, sister. Well, all right, that's what I'm saying. Now my wife is here, Sister Erica here, and Sister Allen, Sister Walker here, and Sister Allen. Oh, we got a house full today. Oh, we smoking today. All right, let's get it on.
I told you that's what will happen. Once the sisters start presenting themselves, it's gonna start taking off.
Yeah, our brothers better take note. All right, so let's get it started. All right, as you watch the previous lesson, we spoke about the citizenship. And citizenship is very important because it denotes to your protection with your political status. And as we know that when citizenship pertained here to what we now call America, or what we call the United States, the citizenship was was origin stemmed from the states. And prior to becoming what predates the states is colonies. All right. Now, these are the original parties of the contract in regards to a charter that was given by the king under a monarch called King James. All right. He's the one who stepped to what we call Great Britain prior to the other previous monarchs being such as those of Spain and France. We already went through that, so we're not going to go through that. What's very important about this concept about citizenship in regards to the kings and monarchs ruling at this time is because the colonists were the ones who were setting up the plantations. These were called the grantees. They were given what they call a right of, and we're gonna go over to, it's gonna bug you out. Let's just go over to it. Let me just share my screen. I'm not even gonna explain. Let's just get into it. I'm gonna have Brother Scott read for me right quick. Let me get it first. Share my screen. Everybody see this? Let me blow it up a little bit so that the viewers can see. Nothing we say here on the King's Bench is abstract and is not void with outside sources. Now, we know there's truth and lies and everything, but it's up to us to determine what's truth and falsehood. That's what we do here at the King's Bench. All right. So now this is a term called Denizenship. It's hard to pronounce that. Denizenship. All right. Sister Brother Scott, Could you read this definition for me?
Denizenship. It's a noun. Law of the status of a denizen.
I thought it had more than that. Hold on. Let's see. I thought it had more definition than that. Let me go to a better definition.
Okay.
Give me 1 second. Sometimes my computer want to go slow on me. All right, here we go. Let's take this one. You can just read this little part right in these there. All right. Read that part.
All right, denizen. Again, it's a noun, an inhabitant or occupant of a particular place. For the British historical, a foreigner allowed certain rights in the adopted.
1 second.
Sorry?
I think that's
Okay.
county in the country.
Okay,
Okay. So a denizen is an inhabitant or occupant of a particular place, and then a foreigner allowed certain rights in adopted country. Okay, now this is what the citizenship, but people's like, well, anybody put a definition. So let's get a source, because we know we're saying we're citizens of England. So we have to get a reference point from somebody who's from that particular territory, not just the dominions that extend, not just that territory, but its dominions as well. Because North America is a dominion of what they presume to be called England, or what they now call Great Britain, under the auspices of what they call the United Kingdom. So now I want to get a reference by an author. His name is H.A. Carpenter. And when we read in the first 2 paragraphs, they have 17 pages. So we're going to have to, like I said, break the video up. But the content of the subject matter in regards to naturalization in American colonies is what the viewers need to understand in regards to a difference between a birthright and a granted right.
Exactly.
A birthright and a granted right. Archbishop, want to say a couple words?
And point of interest, and that's right now what many of the brothers and sisters are being put underneath status-wise, is you're not seen as a citizen, but someone who's been given rights of those who are actually already over here. So even though you actually are the original people over here, your status is seen as someone who actually came over, but not originally the original natives here per se.
Well said. Well said. All right, Brother Scott, you can continue to read. Give me 1 second to blow it up so the viewers can read. All right. Go ahead, brother.
all right. Nationality law in the American colonies.
Stop
Nationality.
right there. The reason why I constantly use Wikipedia for all those who say why he always go to Wikipedia, because you have to start out with baby food. A lot of us think we're grown and we know a lot, but you don't know enough.
Mm-hmm.
So all the stuff you thought you had took you to get where you at, you don't use anymore. You can't use the stuff you learned in 1st grade and 12th grade. So why are you still carrying it around? So we have to use new understanding and new applicable tactics to get what we need. And this comes from understand the origin of what this new stuff comes from, because you got to have the source. Power is an illusion, if it's all a force, nothing more. And it must come from the source. So what we have to do in regards to us being citizens and what we here are soon to be called America, we're saying we're English national. And we know that according to the charter, a charter is nothing more than an instrument, a legal document transferring rights and powers. It does not establish the government. So if our ancestors been here prior to America, and we know that prior to America in the States, we're called colonies, and we know as colonies, we can't be citizens because they were allowed to come here by way of settlement. So you have to link yourself back to the ruling monarch at this time, which was called the English colonies. Y'all follow?
Follow.
Okay, you can start from there.
All right. Nationality law in the American colonies preceding the Articles of Confederation was a decentralized early attempt to develop the concept of citizenship among colonial powers of the period. Precedent was largely based on English common law with jurisdictional discretion afforded to each of the colonies in accordance with the principles of self-governance.
Okay. Now, all those who are viewing this particular Wikipedia source in regards to nationality here in the American colony, it just told you that it's based off the English common law. It specifically said the English common law. I don't think no other nation has a common law. I never heard of it, you know. So, and we can't concern ourselves with that because we're here, you know. So, if it's telling you that the nationality law of Americas under the Articles of Confederation was a decentralized early attempt to develop the concept of citizenship among colonial settlers. Now, automatically you fit in one category, a naturalized citizen. You ain't a national, you can only be a naturalized or a foreigner. One of the two, which are actually one and the same. Does that make sense to everybody?
Makes sense.
Wow.
What about you, Sister Venus and Sister Walker? I mean, Sister Walker and Sister Sister Allen. Y'all gotta forgive me because, you know, I have seizures and I sort of speed talk when I talk. So you'll have to forgive me. I'm trying to slow down.
That's okay, King. I agree 100% with you. Yes.
Okay, Sister Walker.
Absolutely agree.
Okay, Sister Jordan.
Absolutely agree.
All right. Everybody on one accord.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Jurisdiction, tensions between England and the colonies. Very important because we know that when the charters were given, they can only be issued by a government. And we know the government is headed by the minor. So we can either attach ourselves as subjects either to what we call the colonies or England. And we know England can't be England because England refers to the land. And English refers to the subjects on the land called England, right? That's a birthright. Born on the land represents birthright, just soil. And then it says in the colonies, so that's a contract. All right, let's move forward. Brother Scott, you can continue.
English common law on the principles of jus sanguinis viewed English persons and their children in the colonies as full subjects of the king. English common law was less clear on the status of alien residents in the colonies, who generally faced a difficult naturalization process to obtain the same legal rights inherent to natural-born English and their descendants. Issues in early naturalization policy stemmed from the legal relationships between England and its colonies. The strongest legal bonds between England and the American colonies lay in the colonial charters, many of which professed alien residents in the colonies would eventually become our loving subjects and live under our allegiance.
Stop right there. Stop right there. So as you can see, the verbiage clearly says that under the English common law, that between the American colonies and England is that they were considered to be called foreigners, and that the sovereign authority in lieu of the colonies will be the charter. Because the charter is the legal document determining rights and powers. All right, now at this time, the English heirs and successors are not even in the equation. Why? Because we're unconscious about this matter. We don't know what the heck is going on. Our birthright has been encumbered, it's been stolen, and somebody's living off the birthright by living in the place of us. This is called actors. Okay, so now to let you know that the colonies have an obligation to the heirs and successors who are descendants of the king at this time, the monarch. And this is dealing with the England colonies before you have British colonies. This is dealing with the English colonies before you had the American colonies. All right, let me see if I got all I need out of here. Okay. Parliamentary naturalization laws. Start here.
Private naturalization before Parliament afforded the highest legal status on alien residents could be obtained in the colonies. However, it was an expensive process, costing applicants upwards of £50 during the 1670s. Further, it was exclusive in that embedded sacramental test was designed to bar Catholics from subjectship, yet restricted other non-Christians from the benefits of parliamentary naturalization as well. Alternatively, aliens could seek royal Denization, which was a more accessible path to permanent residency, yet conferred a lesser form of citizenship than private naturalization.
You see that?
Mm-hmm.
Now I mentioned 3 classes. Subject, i.e. nationals, naturalization, and foreigners. And I said foreigners and naturalized citizens are basically one and the same.
Mm-hmm.
Through the process, what we call denization. All right, now let's hit denization and get an understanding of what this is about. Go ahead and read, Brother Scott.
Denization is an obsolete or defunct process in England and Ireland and the later Kingdom of Great Britain, the United Kingdom, and the British Empire, dating back to the 13th century, by which an alien, foreigner, through letters patent, became a denizen, thereby obtaining certain rights otherwise normally enjoyed only by the king's or queen's subjects, including the right to hold land.
Stop. Let's gotta read that again. Let's read that again.
Let's do it. Denization is an obsolete or defunct process in England and Ireland and the later Kingdom of Great Britain, the United Kingdom, and the British Empire, dating back to the 13th century, by which an alien, foreigner, through letters patent, became a denizen, thereby obtaining certain rights otherwise normally enjoyed only by the king's or queen's subjects, including the right to hold land.
Okay, stop. Now we understand that it just said that under the laws of England, Ireland, Scotland, I wouldn't say Scotland, but known as the Kingdom of Great Britain and the United Kingdom, that citizenship was only granted by way of a letter pact through denization. And we know that denization is the way of what we call naturalization, right? And we know naturalization confers rights that's not really your rights.
Right.
So they're making you equal with the political status of someone who was born with that political status. That means that somebody has stolen your birthright as a foreigner, because it just said through letter patents became denizens to obtain certain rights otherwise normally enjoyed only by the king or queen subject, including the right to hold land. I give everybody a second to say a couple of words. Brother Scott, what's your input on that?
I mean, it makes perfect sense. Us being put in the political status of Black and Negro and other names of that nature. So yeah, it makes sense. But these, again, okay, they said the words are obsolete. This is no longer used. I would have never found this without you bringing it to my attention to search for this word alone. I would have never come across that. And I think that's really what holds a lot of people down, because some of this information is just not available to them.
Exactly. And now you understand that when you say about citizenship, because we know when communities were established, i.e. religious societies, when they were allowed to migrate here and settle, were given by charters. Right? They were given charters. and you were allowed to come from one place to another. That's called a settler or a colonizer, right? So if you came from one place with something you never had and go to another place and get something that you never had, that means that you borrowing something that was never yours by way of what they call denization, which is called citizenship, however they pronounce that word, which was a right only inherited by heirs. Why? Who are heirs to king's subjects. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Sister Walker, you can give me your narrative.
That was a great word. I never heard of that word, denization. But if you look at the state law, they do call everyone who holds property aliens. And so therefore you do have to pay taxes, and you're not considered a national or nationalized because they refer to us all as aliens. And that's because we haven't taken the time to read. And it wasn't until I came across the King's Bench that I was able to go down deeper into this knowledge to understand where we were going wrong. So the King is dead on point here.
Thank you for your input, Sister Allen.
Stolen, stolen birthright is the name of the game. That they were able to obtain the exact same legal status as someone that actually owns the land, the heirs and the successors, would make sense, given what you see today, you know, a lot of people flooding into the country and obtaining more rights from the people that actually own the land is, you know, is an eye opener, appalling at most. And to learn of this denization is something that I have never heard of either. And I'm definitely interested in going deeper into this information. And I thank you for bringing it to light, King. Thank you.
Well said, well said. And Queen?
This is my first time hearing of this word as well, but when you think about it, this word is being demonstrated on a daily basis here in America by the contracts that we're signing with buying property versus purchasing cars. Anything that we're purchasing is basically under this one word, because like you said, it's a signed contract. So it's not like it's officially ours to begin with. You know, we're signing these contracts and they still have the true titles on these properties, as you would call it, or I could say, what word I want to use?
Take the time.
What's the word you use when you said, we use it was a term that you used.
Abstract.
I think that was it.
Abstract titles.
Abstract titles.
Yes.
So, but it's a good word to dig deeper into and find out more about, to learn about.
Well said, Queen. I conclude, and Archbishop, your last input.
And based off this word, denization, as we see clearly with our surnames, somebody owns something that's not theirs. So now the question is going to have to be presented to the forefront, who is who? And now that we've already shown and cooperated with more than enough evidence to prove our position, those who have been utilizing our rights via the status denizen or denization are going to have to, they're going to have to come up, and then, you know, they're going to have to start giving back what is actually not theirs.
Well said. And I think my Queen hit it on point when she actually heightening on ownership, you know, because as you read, it says denizens thereby obtaining certain rights otherwise normally enjoyed only by the king's or queen's subjects, including the right to hold land. Very important, because without that right, you don't have no other rights to have. And it says that Denizen was neither a subject with citizenship or nationality, nor an alien, but had a status akin to permanent residency today.
Wow.
Did y'all hear that? to permanent residency. So it don't have nothing to do with your nationality. It don't have nothing to do with your citizenship. It only has to do with you residing somewhere. A residence, and residents are taxpayers, as Sister Walker said. So everybody spoke well and on key in regards to diving into the true aspect of what it really means to understand what citizenship is, because everybody else seems to understand that. And these are foreigners and naturalized citizens living off the national birthright.
Absolutely.
Make sense?
Makes perfect sense.
Okay, all right. Now, what's going to bring this lesson full circle is an article I found. This article was by H.R. Carpenter. He was a journalist, right? And it's from Oxford Journals or Oxford University Press. This is actually in United Kingdom. You know, so this is a reliable source, very reliable source. But what struck me is the content of the language that he's going to speak when you read this article, because as I said in our previous lesson, we spoke about the what you call the Plantation Act of 1740.
Mm-hmm.
We spoke about the Settlement Act of 1740. We spoke about the Act of Settlement of 1701. Now we know that the Act of Settlement 1701, which resulted after the Bill of Rights of 1689, was the result of who would inherit the crown. And then once they established that, then they went into settling in the colonies, which was called the Settlement Act of 1701. And this brought into what we call the Plantation Act and the Settlement Act of 1740. At the same time, they had the 1740 Carolina Act, which was one of the colonies at that particular time,
Mm-hmm.
had in one of the articles that said that all the Berbers were enslaved under the British territory, and British territory encompasses all the 13 colonies. And you're going to read in this article here. So that means that all the English, Anglo-Saxon Berbers were enslaved by settlers who colonized here by the institution of the first colony under King James, a de facto monarch, by way of what we call British conquest. Don't believe us. Don't believe the King's Bench. Read it for yourself. Sister Erica, you can take off from here. Oxford Journal, Oxford University Press, Naturalization of England in the American Colony. What's very important is that they're dealing with, look at the title, Naturalization in England in the American Colonies. I'm going to say it again, y'all. Y'all keep saying this ain't England. Y'all got to be crazy. Naturalization. They ain't even talking about the national. They're not talking about the national. I'm gonna slow it down for you, real slow.
And we're gonna have to bring it to them on the next part because we passed 30 minutes.
Okay, here come part two. Sure. Peace.
Peace.